I'm Jean Marie Herron, Certified Professional Organizer. Welcome to POSSE, productivity and organizing solutions serving everyone in your home office, or virtual. If you want to see my organizing and productivity classes and videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Well, I'm going to get started because I'm very punctual. So those of you who are here to POSSE's Pen for the first time, welcome. And those of you who might be regulars at this point, welcome back. So today is March 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day. You can't really see my green, but I do have some green on, and I'm half Irish. Today's topic is what I like to refer to as a pot of gold resource list. So we're going to jump right into housekeeping. My name is Jean Marie Herron. I'm a certified professional organizer. I own and manage a company called POSSE Partners, and I've been specializing in whole home residential organizing and workplace productivity since 2005 in and around the northern corridor of Bergen County in northern New Jersey. Although with the, I don't know if we're still in the pandemic, post-pandemic world, I can go virtual as well. So that's just a little bit about me. And today's pen will be recorded. My assistant Deborah is on the call, and she will keep everybody muted until the Q&A section. And I ask that if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat box, and we will get to your questions in just a couple of minutes. So our agenda for the next 30 minutes is we're going to talk about a wonderful, wonderful resource list. I'm going to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Cindy Meyer, president of Ridgewood Moving Services. Then I'm going to give you the information for my next pen, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A, in which you can ask the organizer or the moving expert, and then we'll close. So always a story. Marie's always telling a story. So this one goes back to, I don't know what year in 2000 and question mark, but I met a wonderful woman named Cindy Meyer, who was just becoming the president of Ridgewood Moving Services pretty shortly when I was starting my career as a professional organizer. And as we started to partner together, we created something called our donations resource list, which we're going to tell you about in just a second. But before I tell our story, Cindy, you just want to wave to everybody and tell everybody just a little bit about yourself? Of course, I muted Cindy, and now she's got to unmute. Sorry about that. Oh, is she not able to? Deb, can you unmute Cindy? There we go. All right.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Jean Marie. I'm so happy to be here today. Yes, I am Cindy Meyer. I am the president and owner of Ridgewood Moving Services. I'm a certified woman-owned business, and we provide residential and commercial, local and long-distance moving, full-service packing. We have a storage facility here, 15,000 square feet. We've been in business since 1966. We started out in Ridgewood, hence the name Ridgewood Moving, but we've been settled in Mahwah for the past 16 years. And one of our favorite lines that we truly believe in is we're more than just a moving company, we're a total resource for your moving needs.
So it's really funny, I just realized this. So Cindy is Ridgewood Moving, and she's located in Mahwah, and I used to live in Mahwah and recently downsized to Ridgewood.
We flip-flopped.
We flip-flopped. But Cindy is what I like to refer to as a frolic. So a frolic in my book is a client and a friend. So, you know, Cindy's my frolic. So we're going to take this very casually for the next few minutes. And what we did together is we came up with a donation resource list many years ago. And every year we would get together and update it. And then COVID hit, and we hadn't updated our donations resource list in a couple of years because of the pandemic. But now we're going to share it with you all. And we called it our Decluttering and Beyond Home Preparation Resource List this year. If you haven't already received it, we're going to be sending it out via email. We're going to put a link in the chat box later, but you can always get it on either one of our websites. It's fluid. It changes all the time. And when we open it up to Q&A, if you folks have a wonderful resource that you want to share with us, we'd love to hear about it. I was actually with a client of mine yesterday who is downsizing, and she wanted to get rid of her piano. And as Cindy and I can probably both tell you, pianos are one of those things that when you see it in a client's home and they say they want to let go of it, we know it's kind of a bear to let go of. But this client found a wonderful resource called Adopt a Piano. So I will add that to the list going forward. Right now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take you through the document, and Cindy and I are going to talk about different charities. So this is a 4-page document, and we both have worked very hard at making sure this contact information is correct, phone numbers, websites, addresses, etc. And the first almost 3 full pages are all about donations and charities that you can either call and have them pick things up at your home, or where you can drive your donations to them. But I want to just show everybody the dotted section on the top left-hand corner, because what I'm finding as an organizer lately is, depending on what zip code I'm in, one of the most helpful tools is the internet. So if I'm with a client and I'm not in a town I'm used to being in, I can easily go to Google and type donations near me, or I can be more specific. I can say donations of media near me, donations of clothes near me, and the computer will spit out all kinds of resources that may or may not be valid. But in a lot of cases, it's very, very helpful to do a search. And there's the physical donating, where you might call the Vietnam vets and they'll come to your house. And then there's the physical donating, where you might take your items and bring it to a place like Ditto. But there's also a lot of online opportunity now. So right now, there's a great organization called buynothing.org. You can get rid of things for free on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Free Cycle. So don't be afraid. This list is great, don't get me wrong, but don't be afraid to go to the internet as well, because what Cindy and I have found out in the last couple of years is, I know we've both seen a lot of charities close up. They couldn't afford to stay open. The brick and mortar is gone. A lot of the volunteers are not volunteering anymore. So we lost a lot of great little mom and pop charities over the last 2 years. And then when you go through the list, you'll see it's categorized with the organization and contact information on the left, what type of category in the center, books, media, clothing, etc. And on the right is just a little description, not everything, but as to what they take in particular. Maybe we wrote down their operating hours. And so we have it organized by donations, and then a little bit of selling, and then a little bit about home preparation, like handymen and cleaning companies. That being said, I'm going to give Cindy a turn, and I'm going to be quiet, and she can talk about some of her favorite resources on the list.
Well, that was a great overview, and I will just, as a little bit of a deeper dive, Jean Marie and I also have personal relationships with some of these charities, and have reached out to some of the executive directors or the CEOs of these different not-for-profits to actually ask them what could they use, because it might not be somebody that's moving. Maybe it's somebody that has children that have outgrown craft items or something like that, which would bring me to the Boys and Girls Club. Wendy Schwab is actually McGuire now, she got married. She's the CEO of the Girls and Boys Club of Patterson, Passaic. And when reaching out to her the other day, she actually told us that they're opening at the Boys and Girls Club a food pantry, and they're going to be collecting food donations. She actually needed racks. I happened to be talking to a friend of mine that owns a furniture store, and she happened to have racks. So I connected Wendy with racks. So I found out that she was collecting the food, but she also mentioned that they're looking at craft items because they're doing team building exercises. So we just put that in as a suggestion. Another one of the organizations that is near and dear to me is Center for Hope and Safety. That is Bergen County's only organization for domestic violence situations. They have the shelter and then transitional homes. So after 30, 60 days of staying in the shelter, these families go into the transitional homes where they need supplies. So there's times where sheets, towels, linens, bedding, those things can be donated there. So as this list has just become fluid, Jean Marie, right? We change it, we update it, and I give it out. This is probably the most popular item that I give out to my customers because I really do feel that I'm adding value and they're not putting things in the dumpster, that they're actually being thoughtful in the moving process, and when they're creating their piles like we ask them to, that donate pile has some purpose with some very important charities that we've included.
Yes, and definitely very, very fluid. So that being said, don't be afraid to call one of us at any point, and maybe you've got a client, or even in your own house, there's something in particular. Like, for example, I have a recent client who was a big fencer, so I actually do have a resource for fencing equipment, but it's not on this list because it's such a specialty. So Cindy and I, we're in the field every day helping. And again, somebody doesn't have to be moving. They don't have to be downsizing. Somebody could be, aging in place, or they just want their home decluttered. But these resources come to and fro, and don't be afraid to pick up the phone and either call us or even, call a particular charity and say, you know what, for example, I'll go to Center for Food Action. And at the Center for Food Action, you might think, oh, well, it's just food. Well, actually, they'll take more than food. So if you happen to have, toiletries, if you happen to have, a really good pot and pan. So don't be afraid to call these places up and ask them for things in particular.
They actually have, excuse me, Jean Marie, at the Center for Food Action, they actually have a waiting room where they had books in the waiting room. I don't know if they still, collect books. I know they have that book drop off next door. But, you wouldn't even think to donate some books there. But yes, the families, are waiting. They have reading material.
Yep. And you might look at, for example, an organization like Habitat for Humanity, and you think, oh, it's just, construction materials and building materials, but their restores take all kinds of things for decorating a home, as well as furniture. So, read through the list at your leisure, but don't be afraid to call them up and say, hey, would you take blah, blah, blah. Here's another example, Easy to Collect on Broadway in Elmwood Park. Yes, it's a store that sells all kinds of media, but they're happy to take, records and DVDs and vintage music memorabilia off your hand if that's something you want to donate. You'd have to talk to them about selling it, but relative to donating it. So that's, the donation section of it. And then, just a little bit on selling. Now, I don't know about Cindy, but when my clients tell me they want to sell things, I cringe because it's the hardest thing in terms of managing expectations, because, there's a lot of people who really feel they're going to make money on what they have. And it's very difficult. It takes a lot of time and energy. So of course we have estate sale folks. There's also people now do digital estate sales. So there's companies like Max Sold, and I actually don't even think Max Sold is on here. So I should probably put it on here. And you can have an estate sale online.
The two most requested referrals for me when I go to a home is estate sale and junk removal. So that's why we included, our favorites on this list, because we wanted this declutter and beyond to be all encompassing on some of the common requests to us. So yes, those are the two most popular, I would say, in my world.
Absolutely. And just like I mentioned before with the online platforms, same thing with selling. You know, you can go on your internet and do a Google search in terms of selling things as well. And then from there, you know, underneath home preparation, these are folks that Cindy and I use all the time, you know, so if you see a handyman there, she and I both know those folks. If you see, and I'm going to say green junk removal, because like she said, that's huge. When people are trying to declutter a home for whatever reason, we use green junk removal companies. And those would be the folks who are licensed and make sure that very, very little of what they take away ends up in a landfill, because they'll all go back to warehouses as well and try to disseminate the things to other places where they can be sold to thrift stores and antique centers, etc.
I just want to add to that, Jean Marie. Also, I know two of them, Michael Clark and Junk Luggers, they'll work with Making It Home, and that's a furniture donation company that we work with. Cynthia McCarskey, who is wonderful, collects for unwanted furniture and provides furniture for a lot of our vets and homeless in the area. And we love the fact that they are willing to come and pick up that furniture and help this organization out. So of course, you know, it's a win-win for everyone that they're working with us in that regard.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. So that's our list. I'm going to jump back to my PowerPoint. You're all going to get a copy of the list. And so we showed that to you here. And I think Deborah is also going to put the link in the chat box in case you want to download it at the moment. You can have it, or you can also just send us a quick email, but it'll be coming to you. So as I do in all my pens, I'm going to suggest what's your takeaway here. So now you have a 4-page list. Where will it live in your house? Are you going to keep it paper or digital? You want to give it a home. And another tip I have for you is if you're trying to declutter your home, maybe you're getting ready for spring fling, you can set up a regular donation schedule, whether that's weekly, monthly, annually, with a lot of folks by just putting it on your calendar and saying maybe, you know, the 4th Friday of each month, I'm going to donate to the United Breast Cancer Foundation, whatever it is. There's a lot of great charities listed on that list. Again, let Cindy or myself know if you have a wonderful charity, and we'll take notes when we open it up to Q&A in just a second. And the last thing I want to say here is remember, when you donate something, you're actually giving it to somebody in need. A lot of times when I'm helping my clients declutter and let go of their possessions, you know, they'll give me something and they'll say, you know, okay, you know, get rid of it or throw it away, but it's actually going into a donation bag. And I say, just because you're letting go doesn't mean it's garbage. You know, when we donate it, it's going to somebody in need. So that's very important to remember. So always donate. All right. Oh, go ahead, Cindy.
No, I was just thinking of that. That's such a good point. And one of the organizations, or one of the initiatives that I've been working on for the past 30 years, and Jean Marie, you've been supportive in talking about it, is our recycled toy sale that we've done over the years. And that's held at the Boys and Girls Club in Patterson. This year we couldn't do it. It had to be new. But in the past, it was all gently used toys that people donated. And what we loved about it was the fact that families were working together with their kids, and the kids were going through their toys and realizing that what they're, you know, going to give away, another child in that Patterson Passaic area is going to enjoy. And, you know, that is a learning lesson. As you are donating, you can get the family involved.
I'm so glad you mentioned that particular event, Cindy, because, you know, we know what happened in 2020, but I would start advertising, if you will, that event through Ridgewood Moving Services in the beginning of November. And I would encourage all my clients to kind of clean out and donate prior to the holidays, because we all knew the new stuff was coming in. And there were so many collection areas, but we did so much for those boys and girls. It was wonderful. So I hope that's back in 2021.
Yeah, stay tuned.
So this is my little shout out for Leprechaun. So if you'd like to connect with us, Cindy and I both do newsletters, YouTube videos, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that fun stuff. Deb will put the exact information in the chat box for us. So you'll find it in the chat box, but feel free to be our Leprechaun today. And next month, my Posse's Pen on April 21st is a little bit special. It's going to go a little longer than 30 minutes, and it's called Does Your Home Office Drive You Crazy? And I will have 2 more guest presenters. These are my power partners that I invite to come into my Posse's Pen. But I'm going to have, a tech expert from Bergen IT, Felicia Halpert, and a woman by the name of Karen Olson from Hembrook Olson Designs. And it's going to talk about how to take your home office and make it functional, safe from a technology perspective, and beautiful all simultaneously. So it's the combination of how do you organize your home office, how do you get it up to speed from a technology perspective and make sure that it is safe and also beautiful. So I hope you folks can make that. And Deb will put a link in the chat box for the next pen. And now we're going to get to the Ask the Organizer and Moving Expert, where you can all share your questions here. So feel free, unmute yourselves. Oh, there's Karen. That's the Karen I was talking about, right here in the middle.
Oh, Karen got a haircut.
Yeah,
I know. Actually, I have a question. Terrific presentation, guys. This is great. Do you have any resources for men's suits? I'm trying to clean out my husband's closet, and maybe there's not so much a need. I think there's an organization for women for interview suits, but do you have any resources for men's suits?
Yeah, that's a great question. We did include Women's Rights and Information Center. Believe it or not, they collect men's suits there as well. And there is another organization, I believe, in Englewood that we don't have, we just don't have a relationship with them, but I believe that there might be, and I can send that to you, Karen.
Yeah, I could look into it, but that's great. Okay, so somewhere in Englewood. Okay, cool.
Unfortunately, years ago, we initiated the Move for Success, and we collected career clothing for men and women, mostly for college students that were couldn't really afford to get a suit for an interview. And we collected so many suits, and they opened up a boutique at Bergen Community College, Felician University, and Ramapo. But unfortunately, because of what happened with the situation we've been in for the past year, the schools weren't, didn't have students there. Those boutiques closed up. But once that opens up again, Ridgewood Moving, we will be collecting men's and women's suits and providing that for those communities.
Yep.
Thank you.
You can also always do the VVA, the Vietnam Veterans of America, as well. All right, does anybody either have a question, or do you have a particular donation resource that you'd like to share with the group?
Yes, I'm keeping my notes.
Does anybody have a favorite charity that might not be on our list that you like to donate to regularly?
I think you got everyone on your list, really. It's very thorough.
I know, I just moved someone in Ridgewood not too long ago, and she utilized, actually gave us one of these, but I was telling you about this, Jean Marie. She had breast cancer come in. She put things on Free Cycle, because in Ridgewood, you just announce it. Somebody would come over, and when they were picking up one thing, she was getting rid of other items, and they were taking those, those items as well. So she felt like just by utilizing some of these services, she was really able to clean out her house, not call the junk removal company, and and give to some of these families that are either just starting out or whatever. Which brings me to the Restore. The Restore in Westwood I've been in that one several times. I recommend the Restore to a lot of my younger families. They're buying their first home, that should go over there and pick out some things. Karen knows how a nice coat of paint could just revive a dresser or a piece of furniture. And you can get it, a lot of times this furniture is a lot better quality than what you're buying now. And they have lamps and the accessories, like you said before. So I actually recommend to my customers to go visit that store. And, you know, the money that they buy from that donated furniture goes to Habitat for Humanity. So the restores are a good little treasure hunt.
Yep, I couldn't agree more, especially for those people who want to decorate and design on a budget and who are a little bit handy. You know, you have a college student coming out for the first time and setting up their own apartment. Like, nobody needs to go to the mall anymore and pay retail prices. You could go to these restores, you could go to, you know, estate sales and get things for a steal and have a really, you know, beautiful home that way. My favorite resource at the moment, based on scheduling, is the United Breast Cancer Foundation, because right now they have the most availability. So with some of these other charities, you might have to wait a couple weeks, you know, to get them in. But in this particular area, I'm not saying outside of Bergen County, I'm not sure, but right now the United Breast Cancer Foundation is picking up several times a week in our area. So that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good thing. When people are donating to, so I would say furniture is a pain point for people that are right sizing. And when they're going from a larger home to a smaller situation, what do I do with my furniture? And their kids don't want it because they want Pottery Barn and West Elm, like they want that kind of furniture. But the old traditional styles are tough. And so I call it the land of the misfit furniture, like Rudolph, right? And so it really is an area where we explore where people can donate their furniture. And what we usually do as moving company is bring the furniture down to the garage so that whether it's Habitat picking it up or Ditto, they have trucks, and making it home uses resources like firefighters and things like that. And we work with them too. But instead of having inexperienced people going into someone's home and moving a dresser down the stairs, we'll bring the furniture down into the garage area so that the other you know, the company could go and pick it up and deliver it. But that is a pain point, the furniture.
Mm-hmm. Huge pain point. One of the great resources that has come about lately with furniture in particular is the Buy Nothing project. So if you go to buynothing.org, not all towns have their town up and running, but I'm in Ridgewood, so Buy Nothing /Ridgewood is incredible. So if you're in my town, like for example, I wanted to get rid of a baker's rack, I had it forever. And all I did was take a picture and I put it up on Buy Nothing Ridgewood. And within 5 minutes, I had 5 people in town who were willing to come to my house and take my baker's rack. So you could Google it and see if there is one in your town. If there isn't, I don't know what it takes to become an administrator to start one, but it is a fantastic way of keeping things out of the landfill, giving it to somebody local, and you can usually get it out of your house, I swear, within hours. So that's really hot right now.
So Jean Marie, this is Sharon. How are you? Thanks, Cindy and Jean Marie. This is a great presentation and so needed. But that whole Buy Nothing, I'm definitely going to log in and see if Mawa here has one. And if not, I'll jump on Ridgewood. But this is going to sound crazy, but I have access to food that is recently past the expiration date. So it's a can, you know, a box of pasta that expired, you know, in December. But these food pantries can't give it out, and they don't want to, and I don't blame them, but this is perfectly good food, and I have bags of it, and I really want to get it in the hands of people who could use it. And maybe instead of going grocery shopping for a box of pasta, they can put that money toward bills or something else that they really need. And again, it's nothing that I wouldn't myself eat or haven't in my closet, taking a box of pasta out and ate it and realized it expired 3 months ago. But it's really good food. I don't want it to end up in the landfills, and I want to give it to people who could really use it. Any ideas?
That one stumps me because all of the food donation resources that I know, their policy and procedure is not to take anything beyond the expiration date. I almost wonder if you could slip it, if it's non-perishable, if you could slip it into a generic donation. I don't know what would happen on the other end. It might be the same. They'll look at the expiration date. You could call maybe some restaurant owners. There's a lot of, like, for example, in Ridgewood right now, we have something called Feed the Front Lines. So there might be some restaurateurs who, if you just called and asked, they might know better than me. But I can't think of anything in particular without myself picking up the phone and calling, restaurants that probably donate. I'm not sure what to tell you. Cindy, do you have any ideas on that one?
Well, definitely the food pantries are very big sticklers on the date, but I'm thinking Center for Hope and Safety, the domestic violence. I'm thinking that Julie, she's the executive director. The shelter, the actual shelter that houses many of the women in the beginning, I'm thinking that they might go for it. So I could hook you up separately if you want to email me and give you that information.
Oh, thank you.
Also, for future, Move for Hunger is another organization. We have that. We should have that on the list. Adam Lowy is a friend of mine, and he started out in the moving industry 10, 12 years ago with the idea of when people are moving, they're harried, they're throwing out food, and what can we do to get the food out of the landfill and into the food banks? So a lot of us movers, and I tell you, it's across the nation now, have joined him in this initiative, and I've done it for since he started. We just leave a box at our customers' homes and they can fill it. And when the box comes back to our office, we just bring it up to Center for Food Action. I could also connect you with the organization and you can learn more about them. They were just on the Today Show, and see if they have thoughts also.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah, Sharon, the Helping Hand Food Pantry in Hillsdale, they can't give it out, but I do volunteer there. And we have lots of stuff that's just slightly expired, and it all goes to places in Patterson and that. We have a place that it goes to. So
Do you know where in Patterson?
I don't know exactly where. I can find out if you want to. Let me put my email in the chat. If you want to give me your contact information, I'll see if I can find out. Or if you could just drop it at the food pantry and they'll take it.
Okay,
They
thank
do
you.
take slightly expired. There is a resource they give it to that doesn't go into garbage.
That's fantastic.
So let us know what that is.
Okay.
Yes, please. Lorraine, send me an email, please.
Okay.
So we have 1:05, unless there's any more, hot questions. We can bring this to a close. Any last minute questions before we go? All right, everybody, have a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you for joining Cindy and I. And see you next month, I hope, April 21st.
Thank you. This was great.
Take
Good.
care, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks for
Bye,
having
everybody.
me.
Bye.
Remember, if you want to see more organizing and productivity videos created by POSSE, hit the subscribe button and you'll be alerted when the next one is ready.